Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome, my peace, my peoples. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It would be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peace, my peoples. I came to bring some sad news. Dennis Edwards from The Temptation, he was also in the Contours, and he also had a lot of solo hits. He has passed away. He has died today, and I regret to tell you people, and I love The Temptation. I loved all the members of The Temptation. I just, it's sad to hear that, he passed away. I think he was age 74. And it doesn't say his cause of death or whatever, but he passed away. And he's also a soul legend, R&B legend, soul music legend, and it's just like, damn, he's gone because you can't disclaim that the Temptations were the best, and he was one of the best, working along with the best. And I love the Temptation music. I remember my mom playing the Temptation music, especially when it was cookouts, gathering, holidays, and just cleaning the house with the Temptation on in the background. Me, my brothers, we all know the words to most of the Temptation songs because we know their distinctive voice, their forcellos, the deep voice, their high notes, their low notes. And the Five Heartbeats is one of my favorite musical movies. I love the Five Heartbeats. I watch it every holiday. It just doesn't fail. Five Heartbeats. That show was on point. and it's just like he passed away, and there's only one, I think, original member left. I believe, I could be wrong, and I think I'm probably am wrong because the Temptation has switched out different singers. Like, they switched out so many different singers over the time from 1968 to until now. And I did see the Temptation about 5 years ago, and only original member that was on stage was Otis Williams. He was the only original one on stage or whatever. But I do love the Temptation music. Just looking back at some of their videos on YouTube, like their concerts, these guys were all tall. I mean tall like giants. It's like, I know the population has changed, the air has changed, the environment has changed, but a lot of the singers and the male groups from back in the day had so many tall members. I mean, very tall, like basketball players tall, like huge tall. And I don't see that a lot today with groups or any groups like in the early 90s and the late 2000s or whatever, where, male group artists where they have height or whatever. So anyways, that's just a little small note. But, the first song that was inducted into their Grammy Awards, one award was The Temptation, Cloud 9. And that was in 1968. I was like, damn. They had a lot of other songs, but I guess that's the first song that won a Grammy under the Motown label at that time. And it was like, I'm on cloud now, and I love that song. And R.I.P. to David Ruffin, Eddie Kendricks, Paul Williams. I love Paul Williams singing, even though people say that Paul Williams was assassinated, he was murdered. Even Eddie Kendricks and David Ruffin believed that as well. I was like, damn. And I really do love the Temptation. And Dennis Edwards, he replaced David Ruffin in 1968. He replaced him. I think it was July 1st. If I'm incorrect, it's really in the slideshow, so you can look at the slideshow and it'll tell you the dates and stuff like that. And Dennis Edwards, he did his own solo song, Don't Walk Any Further, and he received notoriety for that song. And he was a good singer, and he was in many different groups, and he was a great singer, and he moved around a lot back in the day. He moved around in a lot of circles with a lot of different people. A lot of people liked his singing and loved the way that he sung, basically. And for him to replace David Ruffin, and we know David Ruffin is a legendary singer. I mean, he's awesome. I love David Ruffin singing. Oh, I do. And he did move around, but they also says that David Ruffin and Dennis Edwards were also friends. They was really good friends or whatever. And, David Ruffin used to chase Dennis Edwards off a stage and stuff like that. And so then they end up offering, David They ended up offering David Ruffin to join back to the Temptation, and then Dennis Edward got his solo deal, and that's when he did the song that made a hit, "Don't Look Any Farther," and David Ruffin failed to show up, to concerts or whatever, so then they squashed that deal. But Dennis Edward, he was with the Temptations for a couple of years. He was with them in 1968, 1987, and 1988. And also in the 1980s. So he was on and off with the Temptations with different songs and things like that. And he got along well with other the group members, other than, people that didn't want, him to replace, David Ruffin, because people love David Ruffin, But, David Ruffin sometimes was his own worst enemy, but he also realized that they wasn't getting paid like they supposed to. They wasn't getting the royalties like they supposed to and things like that. But even though he did have an ego, and sometimes drugs interfere in the mix too as well. So, you see the trials and tribulations that the Temptation went through. And so, like, I know about the Temptations and a lot of other groups and their trials and tribulations and not being paid. You would just think new artists today would make sure that they know what's going on with their deals, make sure they don't get into a 360 deal, make sure they have their masters, make sure the language in the contract, protect them, because, it's been public history, public documentation of a lot of singers from back in the 70s, the 50s, the 60s, that has really been raped by the record label and a record company, and plus their managers as well. So I was just like, I can't believe Dennis Edward had passed away today. Well, he passed away on the second day of Black History Month. So he passed away in a legendary month. And, God bless his soul. God bless his family's soul. And he, rest in peace. And I really do love the Temptation. I love their music. So I guess today I will be playing the Temptations a lot today. It'll be in my car bumping and be in my house bumping the Temptations. And just positive energy. But, David Edwards did a lot. He did a lot, and he sung very well. And, back in that time, the racism was even tougher than what it is now. And they still prevailed, even though, they didn't receive all the money that they were supposed to receive. But, they made a stand. They came out. They fought singing. And they sung about a lot of popular things, especially unemployment, racism, and things like that. And then they sung about love, like love. There's nothing wrong with love. Love is good. Love, friendship, happiness, joy is good as well. So that's my story. R.I.P. Dennis Edward from the Temptation, the Contours, and plus he was also a solo act. And he contributed a lot to music, and rest his soul. May he rest in peace. Peace. I'm out. One love.